Sunrise bloomed over the sandier mountains in hues of coral and persimmon, the kind of palette painters and poets chased but rarely caught. On the launch field of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, Dr. Gabriel Luna pulled the zipper of his fleece tighter, adjusted the small anemometer in his gloved hand, and reminded himself to focus on data, not beauty. His graduate students were placing temperature, pressure radios, sonde irons, into styrofoam containers bristling with antennae. The festival drew 500,000 visitors each October, but Gabriel was there for wind mapping, nothing more glamorous than proving that the low-level jet along the Rio Grande could be harnessed for cleaner regional power. He had permits from the FAA, an endorsement from the university, and a clipboard full of numbers that mattered to precisely 6 other scientists on Earth. By 6:30, the first balloons were vertical, propane burners coughing blue flame into silken envelopes, yellow smiley faces, zebra stripes, even a Darth Vader head drifted upward as the morning cajon drum of festival music reverberated through the loudspeakers. Gabriel entered registration numbers into his tablet Pure Habit and watched each dot resolve on the real-time GIS feed he'd convinced Fiesta officials to share. When his screen blinked red, he frowned. A new blip had appeared 1/2 mile north-northwest, climbing quickly but broadcasting no transponder code. He zoomed in. The shape tag read, I Iondore. The hillside spectators' murmurs reached him before confirmation from the camera drone. Floppy ears, exaggerated hind legs, and a goofy buck-toothed grin. Someone had launched a jackrabbit-shaped balloon without authorization. Gabriel pursed his lips. Unregistered balloons weren't unheard of. Hobbyists sometimes slipped in from unofficial fields. Still, this one grated on him. Without a transponder, it complicated his LiDAR calibration because each reflective surface confused the beam. He radioed Fiesta Control. Carrot Top, the dispatcher said, using his call sign. We have no record of a jackrabbit's special shape. Could be a prank. Want security to flag it? Gabriel considered for a beat, eyes following the jackrabbit hopping. Well, bounding through layers of rose-gold light. Yes, he replied, and I'll log optical readings from my drone. Might as well quantify the nuisance. The drone, a carbon fiber quadcopter the physics department nicknamed Chupacabra, lifted off from its pad and arrowed toward the rogue balloon. Gabriel toggled the gimbal, bringing the jackrabbit into perfect frame. Something odd, a thin cargo net cinched around the balloon's waistline, half hidden by painted fur. From the net dangled 5 oblong canisters, no broader than thermoses. Gabriel captured stills, zoomed until each canister's serrated lid filled his monitor. No labeling, no little rill ridges that signified ballast. He felt his pulse beat in his throat. A gust rocked the line of Fiesta balloons southward, and pilots fired burners to compensate. The jackrabbit, however, eased into the new vector as if anticipating it. Gabriel overlaid wind data from his release sensors. The balloon was hugging isobars with uncanny precision, impossible without onboard instruments. Whoever flew it wasn't a drunken hobbyist taking selfies. They were reading the wind as well as any atmospheric scientist. He saved the footage and trundled toward the media booth, where his friend, freelance reporter Danny Silva, was sipping coffee that smelled like burnt caramel. You look like someone spliced your equations, she teased. He explained what he'd seen, showed her the stills. Danny's eyebrows knit. Those aren't sandbags, she whispered. And the ears look close. Gabriel zoomed again. On the inner edge of one flopping ear someone had spray-painted, a glyph. 2 overlapping circles bisected by a vertical bar, almost like a stylized 8. Danny snapped her gum. That's the Caliocho cartel's mark. They usually tag semi-trailers and safe houses, not county fair cartoon rabbits. Gabriel exhaled, little vapor ghosts vanishing in the chill. His father, a BLM ranger, had traded bullets with Caliocho poachers years ago. The memory still smelled like cordite and fear. You sure? He asked. Danny nodded. I've covered their fentanyl routes. They're clever. Land, sea, FedEx, you name it. The canisters, Gabriel thought. Aerial drops. Call the cops, Danny urged. Without proof of contraband, they'll chalk it up to festival hype, he said, tempering his voice. Let's get proof. They returned to Gabriel's trailer, where Chupacabra's camera streamed live data. The jackrabbit had climbed to 2,800 feet AGL. Gabriel typed commands. The drone tracked, but kept legal distance. Wind direction at that altitude would carry the balloon over the Petroglyph National Monument around 7:10. Sparse streets, a strip of desert, then the open volcanic escarpment. Prime for covert pickup. An idea crystallized. Cartels use ground signals, he muttered, colored tarps, flashing lights. But from the air they need code. He pulled up archived Fiesta footage, filtering by Calais Ochomonts. 3 years earlier, a coyote balloon missing from the registry had followed a nearly identical track. Another rogue balloon, an armadillo, had done so last year. No one had cared. Festivals attracted novelty. But now patterns emerged, identical altitude, speed, and timing. Gabriel pressed fingers to temples, exhilaration mixing with fear. The jackrabbit was the third in a series of aerial couriers. He zipped a file of match-lined flight paths and forwarded it to Danny. If we lose connection or get stonewalled, publish, he said. She swallowed. Be careful, Gabe. He requisitioned the department van and headed west, drones shadowing the jackrabbit. The morning traffic along I-40 glinted like spilled mercury. With each mile, the festival's chatter dissolved, replaced by the quiet sigh of desert scrub. As a pullout near Boca Negra Canyon, Gabriel set up a portable dish to maintain visual contact. The jackrabbit had now descended to 1,500 feet and was bleeding propane in staccato bursts, aligning with a sandy wash furrowed between basalt boulders. At 7:06, Chupacabra's feed caught movement on the ground, 2 ATVs idling beside a tan canopy. Men in motocross helmets waved reflective paddles. The jackrabbit's pilot jettisoned the first canister. It hit the wash in a puff of dust 100 yards from the ATVs. A second canister dropped. The men raced to collect them, tossing both into a mesh duffel. Gabriel felt static buzz along his scalp. He toggled the drone mic and recorded engine noise, badge insignia, and the glyph again, stamped into the canister caps. Cartel property tags. His phone vibrated. Fiesta control. Carrot Top, we lost your balloon telemetry. You still tailing the rabbit? Gabriel forced a casual tone. Telemetry nominal. Conducting extended experiment. He ended the call. If officials ordered him back, the operation would vanish into the desert. The jackrabbit ascended, now 3 canisters lighter, and caught an easterly sheer that would ferry it toward the sandiest to rejoin the festival. No doubt to mingle inconspicuously among the color. Brilliant. Drop cargo, blend in with hundreds of innocuous shapes, land at the sanctioned field, deflate, disappear amid souvenir crowds. Gabriel downloaded the drone's high-definition clips onto 2 thumb drives, one for Danny, one for insurance. He considered calling 911, but experience with interagency wrangling steered him elsewhere. His father's old Forest Service contact, Ranger Sophia Martinez, had cross-deputization with Homeland Security for smuggling corridors. He dialed. She answered with gravel in her voice. Luna? Haven't heard from you since your wedding. It's urgent, he said, summarizing fast. I have video proof of a cartel balloon drop in Federal Preserve, coordinates and visuals. Perps are mobile on ATVs, heading south along the arroyos. Sophia didn't ask why a physicist was chasing traffickers. She simply said, Send me the grid. I'll scramble into diction. Where are you? Boca Negra, pull out, but I need to intercept the balloon before it vanishes into Fiesta crowds. It's carrying 2 more canisters. Negative, Sophia barked. You're a civilian. Not today, Gabriel replied, surprising himself. I'm the only one with eyes on it. Silence, then a resigned sigh. Fine, keep aerial contact. Don't confront on ground. Backup will track your drone feed. 10 minutes out, Gabriel pivoted to the van, slapped the roof once for courage and turned the key. The van leapt over potholes as he re-entered I-40 eastbound. Chupacabra buzzed overhead in loyal formation. The jackrabbit was still on his map, drifting directly toward the city's west fringe. He ran scenario simulations in his head. Wind at 2,000 feet was picking up from the southwest, enough to push balloons toward downtown skyscrapers if pilots weren't careful. Fiesta rules required a minimum landing zone clearance, but the jackrabbit seemed indifferent, unless the pilot planned to duck sooner. Sure enough, at 7:22, the balloon dumped hot air, sinking fast toward the Rio Grande Bosque ribbon of cottonwoods that threaded the city like a green artery. Public land with footpaths, early bird watchers, and quiet spots for illegal stash. Gabriel veered off the freeway, tires squealing onto the frontage road that paralleled the river. He glimpsed the jackrabbit's ears bobbing above tree crowns. As it descended, propane roar echoed like a wounded animal. He parked near a pedestrian bridge, grabbed his field pack and sprinted. Morning sun stuttered through leaves, dappling the cottonwood trunks. Gabriel's breath puffed white as he reached the clearing. The balloon's basket hovered 3 feet off the ground. A small, wiry pilot in reflective sunglasses emptied ballast, preparing to land. One remaining canister hung beneath the netting, its weight swaying. The pilot glanced around, unaware of Gabriel, who crouched behind saltbush, heart drumming. From the south, a pickup rumbled along a maintenance trail, pulling a small flatbed. 2 more men hopped out, one holding a handheld radio, the other a shotgun camouflaged in desert pattern. Gabriel flattened further. He thought of Sophia. 8 minutes out? 7? He had to delay the transfer. His pack contained simple tools, sample vials, extra batteries, a University 2-watt laser pointer used for demonstrating light scattering during evening launches. Could a beam in the pilot's eyes spook him enough to abort? Probably dangerous. The pilot might panic, dropping the canister uncontrolled. Another thought. Mess with the wind. If he surged burners, warm air might create a vortex, thrashing branches forcing the balloon upward. Gabriel lacked a burner, but he had ignition sources, flares for marking radio sonde landings. He retrieved a flare, struck it. Crimson flame hissed, scorching heat into the calm glade. He lobbed it 20 feet to the north, where dry leaves crackled. Smoke billowed, thick and pungent. The pilot jerked, scanning. The shotgun guard pointed. "Va bene fuego!" Gabriel heard. The pickup driver cursed. In that moment, the balloon snatched a rogue updraft created by flare-heated air and lifted several yards. The canister thumped against the basket's side. "God! God!" The guard yelled. But before the pilot could deploy the line knife, the breeze carried the balloon beyond reach of the pickup team, who jumped back into their truck to pursue along the levee. Gabriel sprinted in the opposite direction, circling to keep eyes on the ascending rabbit. Sweat slicked his temples. Chupacabra hovered above, recording everything. A siren wailed in the distance. Sophia? City PD? He raced across an older sequoia. His foot caught on a root and he tumbled, landing hard. Pain flared in his rib, but he forced himself up. The balloon, rising again, now brushed the fetch of the river's larger airflow, cruising north. Good. Away from pickup crew. Gabriel keyed his phone. Sophia, balloons back in the air, heading 10 degrees along Bosco corridor, ground crew in grey Tacoma following Levee Road, armed. "Air unit eyes on," she replied. "Hold position." He didn't hold. He followed, lungs burning, until the trees thinned near a meadow used by park rangers for educational programs. 2 cops on mountain bikes pedaled out, drawn by the smoke. Gabriel shouted, "Cartel drop! Armed suspects south!" They stared, wide-eyed, then radioed. High overhead, the jackrabbit now hovered alone, its pilot perhaps hoping to locate a second ground crew or ditch cargo quickly. Sophia's helicopter rotors grew from a distant whop-whop to a thunderous drum. The balloon pilot dumped the final canister. It splashed into a marshy backwater. The helicopter spotlight pinned the jackrabbit like an insect. A bullhorn crackled. "Unidentified balloon, you are ordered to land immediately and remain in basket." The pilot raised hands. On the ground, the grey Tacoma fishtailed onto a dirt spur where 3 police SUVs blocked the way. Gabriel didn't see the firefight. He only heard bursts of gunshots, screams, then radios reporting, "Shots fired, suspects down, 1 in custody." Adrenaline ebbing, he walked toward the marsh, muscles trembling. The canister floated, half submerged among reeds. He waded thigh-deep, ignoring frigid October water, and lifted it out. Tape sealed the lid. He laid it on grass, pried with his multi-tool. Inside were vacuum-sealed bags of pastel pills stamped with cartoon bunnies, each pill no bigger than aspirin. Fentanyl, surely. Enough to outnumber every soul at the Fiesta. He sank onto his haunches, nausea mixing with relief. Sophia's silhouette approached under Ruta wash. "You okay, Professor?" He laughed, the sound thin. "You told me not to confront anyone." "You didn't," she said, gesturing to the canister. "You confronted physics." Paramedics assessed his bruised rib, while state troopers photographed evidence. Danny appeared, camera dangling from her neck, face alight with both worry and professional glee. "I've got statements, Gabe. Officials confirm multi-state trafficking ring broke because a scientist noticed a rabbit with no ID. Make sure you mention the students," he said, voice hoarse. "Their wind model predicted the shear that gave me an excuse to keep watching." Danny nodded, squeezing his arm. "Your dad would be proud." Maybe, Gabriel thought. Or disappointed he'd risked his life. The truth felt like the quiet lull after a storm, messy, contemplative, but undeniably alive. By afternoon the Fiesta resumed its carnival cheer, attendees oblivious to how close violence had flopped overhead. Gabriel returned to the launch field, bandaged and exhausted. Pilots he did not know slapped his back, having heard rumors of a balloon vigilante. He smiled weakly, but his gaze kept drifting skyward, passing shapes against endless cobalt, wondering what other secrets hid among the thermals. That night, Sophia debriefed him in a conference room turned command post. "Caliocho encoded drop locations in balloon shapes," she explained, pointing to evidence boards. "Coyote, armadillo, jackrabbit, Nuven Desert. Each corresponded to a quadrant on their smuggling map. Clever cipher, and wind patterns did the delivery," Gabriel murmured. "No engines, no roads, no radar, just physics." "Which is why we need you," she said. "Interagency Task Force wants atmospheric intel to predict future drops. You up for a consultancy?" He considered the invitation. Clouds outside scudded across the moon like silent watchers. "My grant agency prefers pure research," he said. "But data serves people best when it protects them. Count me in, under one condition. We fund an outreach program teaching kids about wind science. Give them balloons, the legal kind." Sophia smiled. "Deal." 3 days later, before dawn, Gabrielle stood once more on the launch field. The painkiller haze had lifted, leaving a sheen of awareness sharper than ever. He released a radiosonde, watched it twirl into lavender twilight, and felt the wind nip his cheeks like an old friend with new secrets. A Fiesta volunteer approached, holding a commemorative pin shaped like a jackrabbit. "You want one?" she asked. He held the pin between finger and thumb, its metal still warm from her palm. For an instant, he saw in it both a threat and a triumph. Symbol of the cartel's failed ingenuity, and token of the community that had prevailed. He pinned it to his lanyard. The volunteer smiled and left. Gabriel lifted his gaze. Balloons rose in a slow-mugging bouquet, their colors spilling across the sky. He inhaled, tasting sage and propane and a hint of burnt sugar from churro stands. Somewhere amid those floating giants was proof that curiosity, plain, stubborn curiosity, could puncture the most elaborate schemes. The jackrabbit balloon, impounded in an evidence hangar, would never grace the Fiesta again. But every time the Dawn Patrol ignited their burners, Gabriel would remember how a cartoon silhouette against a New Mexico sunrise had turned a wind scientist into an unlikely guardian of his skies, and how the wind, capricious though it was, had carried truth where it needed to land.